What is up, everybody? It's Jason here once again with Calgary Reptile Parties in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And I'm really excited about this particular little reptile learning session. I've been very lucky to have a lot of friends in high places and low places and everywhere in between. And to say that this guy is a friend of mine is pretty cool. I'm going to be talking about reptiles today with a former WWE Tag Team Champion, a guy who should have been a U.S. Champion, Intercontinental Champion. I am talking with, you know him as Tyson Kidd. I know him as TJ Wilson. And he and I are going to learn about reptiles. Hey, TJ.
Hey, Jason. What's up, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Cannot complain.
How's the weather out there in Tampa? It's raining here.
Same here. It's been raining for days. And raining and overcast. It rains really hard for a short period of time here, like really hard, and then it just either gets real sunny and crazy humid, or just overcast and crazy humid. But it hasn't really been too sunny the last few days. There was like a storm, like a tropical storm or something, kind of in the area.
So you grew up here in Calgary and you've been in Tampa about 13 years. Was it kind of an adjustment for you in terms of wildlife when you moved down there? Like there are alligators, not so much in the ocean, but in some of the like rivers and ponds, and there's probably frogs that you've had to fish out of your pool.
Yeah, man, it's weird. I've only seen a few alligators. Every time I'm driving, I'm always looking for them because there's like a lot of ponds near my house, so I'm always looking for them. I know they're there. There was once, I have a video of it. There was an alligator like 4 or 5 doors down from my house. I came home from a European tour, and there was an alligator walking across the street. It was insane. But I've only seen 3 or 4. Something must have been up because so that was on a Wednesday, but I think on the Saturday I saw a crazy giant turtle, snapping turtle, that I also have a video and picture of. He's huge, man. A lot of little frogs. So my pool area is screened in, but like the little geckos will get in. They'll come in from underneath. They'll come in from like underneath the doors. And unfortunately, my cats play out there and they normally get caught. I try to save them and put them outside the front door and hope to go tell their friends, like, don't come back. I have a snake that's in this outside my front door. It lives out there somewhere, a little black racer. There was a really bad snake by Ellie saw outside my garage. Man, I forgot what kind of snake. It was they're dangerous.
Water moccasin or a coral snake?
No. Oh man, I hate when I can't remember something because I have a very good memory. So when I can't remember, it really drives me crazy. It'll come to me, but and I was working out in my garage with my workout partner last week, and it looked like a stick in the neighbor's driveway, and I was like, and it was like pretty humid in the garage and pretty hot, and I was like, hey man, like I think that might be a snake. And then he looked, and then all of a sudden it started moving, and we were like, yeah, it's a snake. So snakes, little frogs. One time in my pool, I was sitting out there getting some sun, and I was like, what is that thing in the pool? And I like kind of float towards it. It was a frog that like had died in the pool, swallowing like a cockroach. Dude, so they both had the same death. They both suffocated.
Yeah, like it was like
stuck. Yeah, like the cockroach's face was in the body, like it was in the mouth, but like the whole cockroach didn't get in the frog's mouth.
Huh.
Like it didn't. I mean, not all the way in. So it was lodged in. So like they both, like I guess, suffocated. I don't know. It was crazy. That was nuts.
Yeah, that
frog was pretty big. I don't know how he got in because the space underneath the. I mean, obviously I'm sure there's a bunch of ways in with the pool and the filter, but otherwise it's just these really little frogs and these geckos. These geckos all the time.
Little house geckos. So was it like weird at first to be like, there's a snake in my driveway or a frog hopping around, or did you just kind of?
Yeah, it was weird. It was especially weird like when I first moved here and I lived in my apartment. Sometimes the AC would go out, and it was literally always the exact same thing. These little geckos would run into the power unit and zap it. And then the handyman, the like on-site handyman he'd come fix it, and it would take like an hour, but like when you're in Florida and you're not from here and it's that first summer that you're here and it's the summertime, which Dean Blanco at that time told me that he'd lived here for 30 years. It was the hottest summer he'd experienced. It was my first summer here. And like your AC goes out, you notice it pretty quick, man. And my AC is not a thing that I ever had in Calgary. It was not a thing in most houses, obviously in stores and malls. Yes. But man, it's so necessary here.
So I sort of came up with a kind of a fun little theme. I have 3 types of reptiles that remind me of wrestlers.
Okay.
They're not specific wrestlers, but their style.
Okay.
And so the first one is pretty cool. The first one is actually a cross. So some snakes you can hybridize, and this is one of those cases. So you're never going to have like a rattlesnake cobra cross, but this is a cross between a black pine snake, which is found in Louisiana and Florida, and a bull snake, which is found in the Midwest, as well as up here in Alberta, not around Calgary, but like Medicine Hat, Lethbridge.
Okay.
I kind of thought this was cool in part because so its parents would have been American and Canadian, much like Natty.
That's true. Yeah.
So the snake is kind of like Natty, but
Natty's parents and her grandparents.
Yeah. And so the thing about snakes, like part of what initially kind of made me fall in love with reptiles was Jake Roberts. And a lot of what he kind of tied in with that psychology and the way he moved and stuff is like a snake. And it's not just Jake that was like that. Like when you think about, you know, the level of patience they have to have in catching food, how quick they have to be to grab their food, how strong they are because they're a constrictor and they wrap around their prey. So all of that, like snakes kind of do remind me of like the technicians in professional wrestling because they've got that. Yeah. They've got that speed, they've got the agility, they've got that, you know, cunningness that is sort of what we look for in pro wrestlers.
Yes. Which reminds me a lot of Randy Orton.
Yeah,
which I say in a flattering sense. I mean,
well, I mean, he does go by the Viper, but that is the idea. I mean, the unfortunate thing
strikes out of nowhere. He's very cunning.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about kind of like the idea of snakes in wrestling is that it is kind of based on fear. Like Jake obviously was very much, you know, he got DDT'd and had a Burmese python draped on you, and the iconic you know, stuff with the cobra. You know, that
fighting
was and even himself against Sting. That was all kind of negative, right? And even Randy is spent most of his career as a heel, and kind of, you know, he's always been the Viper for several years, but they really kind of push that part when he's a heel as opposed to.
I understand. Yeah.
So we just, you know, you can pass that idea on to the bosses as maybe get like a positive figure for Reptile.
True, because Jake's run when he's the good guy wasn't so long, right? No, I mean comparatively, or maybe as big an impact as when he's the bad guy.
Yeah, it's interesting though that you know, it did play on that though, because people are afraid of snakes, and like I don't know if Andre was legitimately afraid of snakes, but that entire angle, you know, definitely resonated with people because, you know, the largest athlete on earth and this person that's larger than life, and what's he afraid of?
Snakes.
Yeah.
The one thing that like a lot of people can relate to, just like you said.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is, you know, snakes aren't something that need to be feared. They just need to be respected. So like if you walk out on your driveway again and there's a venomous snake, there's no need to hurt it. Like it's not saying, I can't wait to bite TJ today. I'm just going to hang out till it happens. You know, you can, you know, people who have a lot of venomous snakes around, they'll have like a snake clamp and like, you know, the little ice cream buckets, like from an ice cream shop. And they just grab it and they safely put it in the container and they move it. But, you know, otherwise you just leave them alone. They'll slither away.
Well, I was wrong too. My cats have caught a couple of little snakes, little ones. And I've saved them. I always save them. I like grab something, grab them, and let them out the front door.
That's good. Hopefully they're not venomous snakes, because that could.
No, I don't. I think they're just these little black ones.
Yeah,
like
little
real
black
little.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 80% of bites happen on people's arms and hands because they're trying to kill the animal.
I understand. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean,
The one outside my front door, like I said, I've only seen him once or twice. He's fast, man.
Yeah.
Oh, it was crazy to like see him move. Like it was like art watching him get out of it. It was crazy.
well, and he's probably competition for your cats in some ways, because he's hanging out there eating rodents, which your cats would probably be preferring to be doing.
Yeah. He can have them all. He can have them all. That's the other thing. Like I see a ton of possums, armadillos, and raccoons out here where I live.
None of which you had any exposure to in Calgary.
No, there's like no raccoons there, right?
There are raccoons here.
Oh.
Yeah, there's raccoons in Fish Creek, but I've only seen them once. I've lived in where I live for like 10 years.
Yeah.
A month after moving in, we saw raccoons. Then after that, we haven't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I remember seeing one in BC when we went for international incident. And I remember it was so funny leading up to that. I'd never seen a raccoon before, but I thought like raccoons were such a cool animal. And then I saw them and like, I was actually like kind of scared of them. I was like, oh, they're a bit more vicious looking than I thought as a kid.
Yeah. So my next one is the one that reminds me of you.
Uh-oh.
So this is a Fiji banded iguana, and they're found in Fiji. They're actually illegal in the States.
Really? But they're legal in Canada?
Yeah, they're legal in Canada, and they're legal in the UK. They're illegal to take out of Fiji. So he was born in Ontario, or hatched in Ontario.
Okay.
And I know he's a boy because he has these blue colors. The girl is solid green.
Wow.
So these guys kind of remind me of like people like you, AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, because they spend a lot of time in trees. So they're kind of like your high flyers.
Gotcha.
They're very agile. They're quick. They're smart. And a lot of times animals like this that are kind of smaller, they're predators for a lot of animals. So, you know, I see that kind of comparison in you know, you having to face someone like a Great Khali or Undertaker, or even like a Triple H, like built and jacked bigger than you know, to try and duck and avoid getting caught by the larger wrestler and cheated or eaten.
Of course. That's crazy. How old is that one?
He'll be 2 in October.
And what's like their lifespan usually?
Around 8 to 10 years. So they're not as long as a lot of other reptiles. They are vegetarians, so that's kind of cool too. No bugs.
Really?
Yeah.
So in the wild, what do they eat?
Leaves and fruit.
That's why they're in trees mostly?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's another reason why, besides staying away from predators?
Yeah. And unfortunately, like these are an endangered species.
That was so awesome.
They are an endangered. Yes, I know. He wants to come meet you. He's not actually in the room there. Part of why they're endangered is because of habitat loss, but also the introduction of feral cats and mongoose actually have been introduced to islands in Fiji, and they hunt these.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
It's kind of one of the unfortunate things a lot of people don't realize is how bad cats can be for nature. And it's especially hard when like people are big cat fans. Like, I think you and Natty, you know, grasp it, but a lot of people are like, you know, my cat is a animal that must be outside at all times, and that's nature. And it's like, actually, cats are domesticated animals that were introduced by people to North America. They're not actually found here. And, you know, millions of birds and voles and lizards and snakes are killed by cats every year. Now, you know, certainly.
So what's funny is Cesaro was also a cat guy, just like so happens to be. And he's the one who told me this. And like I've sat and racked my brain, and it's so true. Domestic cats are the only animal that hunts for fun. Yep. Not to survive. Like my cats have full bowls of food all day long, every single day, yet they're catching lizards and frogs and even little snakes outside of my little. It's screened in, so I know the wildlife out there doesn't understand the property lines.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like when they catch these lizards again, I try to save them all and get them out of here. But I'm thinking like, man, just please don't come in the screened area. Stay outside. Stay in the grass.
And that's one of the tough things about places like Florida, right? Like here, there's actually a bylaw in Calgary. You can't let your snakes wander out. You can't let your cats wander around the property. Probably snakes too. Like they can be outside and like a catio, or like same thing. Like if you have like a covered porch, like your pool room, but you know, they're not supposed to be wandering around the neighborhood. It's actually illegal here. And you know, a lot of times
I didn't know that. That makes sense though.
Yeah. And like there's feral cats. It's a long way from like, you know, Stu's house where everything was just wandering around everywhere.
Yeah, man, but that was wildlife sanctuary.
In more ways than one.
Dogs, cats,
bears,
coyotes, everything, man, everything. Skunks.
A bear living under the garage.
Yeah. Oh man. At one point, I think a monkey too.
Probably. And then my last one I want to show you. You can probably figure out what sort of restaurant it reminds me of.
Wow.
So this is Fiji, and he is a Sulcata tortoise.
Tortoise, gotcha.
So what do you think? What category does this fall into?
He's definitely in the heavyweight section, the guys.
Yep, this is like your big shows, your great.
Yeah, I was gonna say big show, yeah.
Because this is a tank.
Yeah, Braun's a good call. He looks like Braun.
He just needs a beard.
Yeah, he's clean shaven today.
He's clean shaven?
No, I'm saying
yeah.
How much does he weigh, this guy?
He's probably as good. I haven't weighed him in a while. Probably good 40, 50 pounds.
Wow.
This is actually the largest inland tortoise on Earth. So the Aldabra and Galapagos tortoises, which are on the Galapagos Islands, they get bigger. They can weigh like 800 pounds, but Sulcata tortoises can weigh over 200 pounds.
200 pounds?
Yeah. So he's got a lot of growing to do.
Yeah.
And
how old is he?
Challenging. How old is he?
Yeah.
I think he's around 18.
Wow. How old do they live? They live old, right?
150 years.
150 years?
Yeah.
Damn, I might have to start getting tortoises so I don't have to get heartbroken.
Yeah. That would be quite an episode of Total Divas.
Tortoise. I traded in our cats because I get sad. So here's my tortoise collection.
Now I'm picturing Natty tortoise-related ring gear.
Big tortoise shell.
Big tortoise shell.
Bumps don't hurt anymore when you got a tortoise shell.
WrestleMania, she comes out looking like from Mario.
Oh, like the Koopa Troopas?
Yeah, like Rey Mysterio always does superhero outfits.
Yeah, and she walks really slow.
And then she has like wheels on her chest, and she like, that would be her entrance to the Royal Rumble. She'd like slide into the ring on wheels and then like just bounce around the ring. Don't pee on me.
Oh damn.
Yeah, that's
so. How did you start loving reptiles?
Yeah, so
did?
Sorry?
You always did?
Yeah, I've always loved reptiles.
Because obviously I've known you for a long time. I've known you for 24 years. And I do remember going to your house that one time. I think you lived kind of close to downtown.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I saw you with a bunch of reptiles. Yeah,
because I wasn't allowed to have them as a kid.
Gotcha. Okay.
I had like newts and salamanders before I met you. But yeah, no, I've always loved them. I just wasn't allowed to have a snake.
I see.
So yeah, I mean that they're messy animals. I did just get peed on.
That's pretty awesome.
And it's hard with the tortoises too. Like if you did hypothetically get like a tortoise, it would be okay like in your yard or in your like pool room, outdoors, screened in area. You could build like an area for it. But as you may recall, even from coming back, I think it's often been like brutally cold when WWE is coming through town.
Yeah, we always go there in the winter, man. Damn.
Yeah. So it's brutally cold, and so obviously he can't be outside year round. Even today, like it's raining, it's overcast, so he's inside. When it's nice out, like 20 degrees, I can put him out for the day.
I see.
You know, we only get so many of those days every year. But you know, there's a lot of people in Florida that breed Sulcata tortoises and big tortoises. It's where a lot of like reptiles come from, like iguanas. Your governor just signed a bill to ban tegus, so that's a concern, which is a big lizard. They're becoming invasive there, but they're also fantastic pets.
I've seen on Mandy Rose's Instagram story, because she lives kind of closer to like South Florida.
Yeah.
So she has like a pretty big iguana, or looks like on the story anyway, like in her like yard and in her trees.
Yeah.
Like pretty big ones. Like I get, like I said, I get the little geckos.
Yeah. Yeah. The iguanas tend to be a little further south, like Miami and Florida and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As far north, because Tampa and Orlando are a bit cooler.
I see. It makes sense.
So yeah, so that's
That's pretty fascinating, man. You know so many facts just like instantly off the top of your head about like all these reptiles. Because like I know I have like I'm a sports guy, so I can kind of rattle off some stats and stuff about basketball or hockey, football, obviously wrestling, UFC a lot. And you and I can talk wrestling all day back and forth, like toe for toe, basically, if it was like a contest. But it's crazy that you can do the same, if not more, for reptiles as well. It's pretty insane.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, that's impressive.
All right, so stay on the line, but I am going to do my little outro. So thanks to Tyson Kid / TJ Wilson for joining us for this chat. Make sure you subscribe, guys. If you're new, if you're coming here, because TJ is going to post about this on his Twitter because he loves me.
Hell yeah.
You know, definitely check out the rest of our stuff. I've got a lot of cool stuff. Please subscribe, and we will see you next time.
Very cool. Thanks for having me.